Welcome back into Weekly Champions here on Wrestling Spotlight. It was another eventful week in the world of pro wrestling. We saw qualifiers on WWE Raw for Elimination Chamber. We saw the Hurt Syndicate defend the AEW Tag Team titles against the Guns, coming back, Austin and Colton. And we saw the surprise debut of an absolute star on NXT as Absolute Ricky Starks wasted no time in moving over to the WWE Universe, finishing off the show on NXT. It's really free agent season as AEW and WWE both released multiple wrestlers, so you're going to see some movement coming here pretty soon in the rosters. Gerald Bentley joined by Sonny the Man Eagle Cain. If you're watching us on TCL Plus, on Sports.TV, on TrueTVPlus, on Carbon TV, thanks a lot for stepping in and hopping into the ring. We appreciate you for taking the time to watch the station, and let some of your friends know, because this is the 24/7 home for professional wrestling. Sonny, crazy week. I know I was surprised to see Ricky Starks end the show on NXT. What did you think of that?
I was very surprised. I was pleased, but very surprised. They said on social media that the ranks were down for AEW's Dynamite show, and I don't see how, because they continue to pack out their events.
Yeah.
And it seems to be growing every week as they get better and better at storytelling. So
well, like I've said, and we've talked about over the last year, and we also talked about it with the Wrestling Junkies podcast guys, I honestly don't care about the ratings, because you know who doesn't care about the ratings? Time Warner Brothers Discovery. They don't care, because AEW has 3.3 million reasons to show every week that they don't care about the ratings. That's the contract they got. And while the TV ratings may be down or treading water on the US 24-hour, they call it same-day rating, they also, at the same time, are the number one rated sports entity on Max since joining the streaming universe along with WWE. They're also breaking their records week after week for ratings in the UK, which is one of the three biggest TV markets in the world. So they're doing okay. I don't think anybody's too concerned about the ratings, really. And yeah, Sonny, I agree. They're packing the arenas now. I think the move to the slightly smaller venues has been a really good idea, because you get back to that feeling. You get the, like Kenny Omega said, the vibes. You get the vibes back. I mean, you're a Charlie XCS Brat Summer kind of guy, right? You got the vibes going, and
yes,
there's something to be said if you have the whole crowd pulling behind you and going nuts for the event. That makes a big difference. It really does soak through the TV screen when you're watching at home.
Yes, sir. I've noticed that the past couple of weeks, especially with the opening we had about 3 weeks ago, I guess, where they told everything at one time with Phil Ospreay. And I thought that was awesome. And then you have last night's show, which stretched out beyond its actual 2-hour time frame. My DVR quit recording at the 2-hour mark, so I had to stay up to see the outcome of it. And that's what you want. You want people to be interested enough to do that, because they're the people that are going to buy the tickets, ultimately.
Well, they did a good job. This was classic WWE back from the Attitude Era. They started off with the segment with Cope, the rated R superstar, Edge, formerly Switchblade Jay White, getting the briefcase holding the AEW title away from Marina Shafir and telling Jon Moxley, hey, we'll be in the center of the ring at the end of the show. That's something they used to do on Raw all the time. You begin with an element and then you end wrapping that element up just to keep people watching, give you a reason to stay to the end. I mean, it's tried and true, but it works.
It's also called a cliffhanger until the next show. So anyway, it lures you back to see what's going to happen the next week or the next show event. So in their case, they have Dynamite and Collision that kind of run together. So
Yeah.
sometimes it stretches on into Collision.
Yeah, which they're doing a better job of that too. I think getting rid of Rampage, probably not something they necessarily wanted to do, but I think it did definitely sharpen the blades because every show seems to mean a little bit more now. Rampage most weeks was kind of a throwaway show. It was a lot of enhancement matches and basically tape segments, just getting you caught up on the other shows. Outside of the first maybe 6 months of Rampage, there wasn't a whole lot of reason to watch it. And I think now you can get the two shows running in cohesion where there's threads going through both of them, which is what the WWE's done the last couple of years. You know, you can see SmackDown stories showing up on Raw. You can see Raw stories showing up on SmackDown. So there's that interweaving of the stories, that connected universe feel, which I think they're doing a really good job.
And don't forget to mention they are now transferring over to Next, so you're going to be seeing all three
WWE,
probably sharing stories as time continues. Is what I'm predicting.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, bringing in talent that you would think would go straight to the main roster, they're going to NXT. Jordan Grace, the Juggernaut, is going to end up on NXT. Ricky Starks announced his presence. He's going to be on NXT. And yeah, just to talk a little WWE before we get back to previewing Grand Slam, I think that's a good move for Ricky Starks because he's, I think, immediately in the main event in NXT. Whereas if he went to the main roster, he's just a guy.
Right. I do too. Eric Bischoff was quoted on X as saying that he thought AEW was where wrestlers went to end their careers. I disagree with that. I think AEW can be as I've said before, I think in our very first show together in my interview, the rebirthing of somebody, so to speak. You can just transform yourself, not like Texas King has done on Next. We all know whose son he is. He'll forever be Brian Pillman underneath all that. And that's what it takes. Sometimes you have to take a step back and say, what do I need to do to get better? Now, in my time and in my day, you went over to Japan. You didn't have Ring of Honor as in the spotlight as it's become now. Sure. You didn't even have a Ring of Honor back in my day. So Japan was the place, and everybody went there to perfect their skills and take what they called a step down or step back to improve. And after so many months of that, then they'd get called up again to WWE or NWA or whatever and go forward from there. But you would always hear them talk about their Japanese tour. And that made it interesting, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a part of it, right? That you need to,
right.
Yeah, you need to be ready to jump and to adapt. And I think we're seeing that. And, you know, I don't think there's anything that is that different in the opportunities because you can say that, hey, AEW, they missed on Malachi Black, Aleister Black. I don't know if I'd say that because he was in a main event match multiple times. They were being pushed as one of the biggest factions in the company. And honestly, Malachi Black was being viewed as significantly more impactful than Buddy Matthews. And Buddy is an amazing wrestler. If anything, I think it was addition by subtraction, letting Malachi Black go. If he wants to go back to the WWE and be a guy who shows up on TV once a month there, okay, go. Because I think Buddy is the guy who really fits the AEW style, because he's an amazing wrestler who really hasn't gotten his chance to shine. He didn't get his chance to shine in WWE when he was Seth Rollins' acolyte, when Seth Rollins was the Monday Night Messiah. And then he was messing around in the story with Dom Mysterio's sister. I mean, that was getting him nowhere, because he doesn't have to chase after Dom Mysterio's sister, because you know who Buddy's engaged to in real life, don't you?
I have heard, and it slips my mind. Refresh my memory.
Rhea Bloody Ripley.
I thought they were.
Yeah.
I thought they were.
I mean, Buddy's a legitimate big time talent, and I'm glad he's getting his chance. He's going to have a match at Grand Slam against Okada, but for the Continental Championship. But you know, for all you can say about, okay, hey, they swung and missed a Malachi Black. Okay, well, WWE. I was at WrestleMania last year. Bobby Lashley got a lot of applause at Mania when he went out there with the Street Profits and ended up losing to Rey Mysterio and Andrade El Idolo. Bobby Lashley is a superstar. He is a legitimate bad man. I mean, he's a international champion amateur wrestler. He was the U.S. Army champion wrestler, an Olympic level competitor. He stopped an armed robbery barehanded in Junction City, Kansas.
That's cool.
Stopped an armed bank robber barehanded. He ended up getting shot in his leg, was able to recover and was okay. But I mean, that's Bobby Lashley. He's a legitimate bad man you don't want to run into. WWE let him walk. Went with MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and now they're going to get Cedric Alexander too, because he was just released by WWE. So business is looking up for the Hurt Syndicate, because they're going to reassemble what was the best story, bar none, in WWE during the COVID era in AEW as the Hurt Syndicate. And their match against the Gun Club, who are good competitors, you know, Billy Gunn's kids, former AEW World Tag Team Champions. I mean, they threw them around like rag dolls. And you heard the whole crowd chanting, "We hurt people," along with MVP. So they are not just having impressive matches. They're over organically with the fans as faces, despite being the Hurt Syndicate. I mean, they're no different than they were. That just shows how popular that story was. So for everyone who wants to jump on, oh man, they missed on this guy. Okay, well, so did WWE, because why couldn't Bobby Lashley be an Intercontinental Champion? Right. He's been a heavyweight champion in every organization he's ever been in, and every amateur level. I mean, sure he could. So it goes both ways. I think it's really going to be like, as it moves on, the AFC and the NFC.
I think so. It's going to continue to unfold week after week, and I thought I had recalled the Hurts syndicated somewhere before and couldn't place it as I was watching them. But as long as they stay together in the ring, I think they could do the most damage to other tag teams. It's when they separate from each other that they seem to go a little south. But as long as they can keep it in the center of the ring, they'll go far. I noticed in their match against the Guns, they rolled out of the ring a few times and appeared to be not doing so great. And then they regrouped and got back in the center of the ring, and that's when things changed in their favor. So keep it in the ring.
Oh yeah, but
for sure.
I mean, they're impressive looking individuals.
They're big.
Yeah, they are, and like they said, they hurt people. So WWE's gearing up towards Elimination Chamber. That's coming up on March 1st from Toronto. That's where you're going to get your other main event competitor for WrestleMania, which at this point is going to be the person going up against Cody, because we are going to see main event Jey Uso against Gunther probably on WrestleMania Saturday. And Sonny, we were talking about it. You kind of said you felt Jey Uso coming just from the promos. And when you
Yes,
mentioned
sir.
that, in hindsight, yeah, it made sense. They were really kind of laying it out. Are you happy that it's going to be Jey Uso against Gunther on WrestleMania Saturday?
Very happy. I think he'll do better this time around. I think he's got potential to win it because he certainly has the fanfare behind him. There was a comment made by an AWE fan as she held up her sign that said, glad we don't have Yeet here, or something to that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Yeet doesn't want to be there. Yeet wants to be in the WWE and become the world champion. So anyway, I think he could take Gunther if he keeps both of his feet on the mat. He's real good off the top rope too. And it takes a minute to adjust from being a tag wrestler to a singles guy, and all of a sudden you're out there. I tagged quite a bit in my 12-and-a-half-year career, and as a tag wrestler, you have the ability to tag out and take that little rest break and whatnot most of the time. And as a single wrestler, you don't, and you've got to carry the ball, as they say in the business. And it's a hard ball to carry in the very beginning. And I think that's where Jey is right now. He's learning how to carry the ball. I think it'll go close to the time limit. I don't think it'll be a walk in and take, but I do think he's got the potential to take it. Probably.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that because he has that personality. It's not like he hasn't been a world champion before. I mean, the Usos had the tag titles for a long time, multiple occasions. One of the best tag teams ever in the WWE, and he just recently had the tag titles with Cody. So, absolutely, he can do it. Now, what else? Anything else jump out at you this week on Monday Night Raw?
Couple of things. Just the energy from the crowd mainly was there. I think they said they drew about 17,000 people on Monday Night Raw. Had to shift gears for a second, but the matches I thought were superb, and they have, on the scale from 1 to 10, they have gone from about a 6 or 7 to a 9 the past few weeks, in my opinion. And the guys seem to be more athletic, and in their night matches, and that's a word that we heard on the Rumble a lot, athleticism. We coined that saying here on Wrestling Spotlight, and man, they used it all through the show, and I said, well, that's our word. But anyway,
they're having more matches. They're having more AEW like matches. They're going harder in the ring.
They are, and it's more interesting and appealing to the fan. That's what the fan wants. The fan goes to the match, in my opinion, to forget the bad job that they have, to forget the family troubles, to forget everything, and they want to see people get beaten up. So that's what they're now delivering on Raw. I think Raw has set a pace that they can maintain now at this level week in and week out, and it's going to go nowhere but up.
So. Yeah, and they're doing a good job of promoting it week to week and rotating through talent because they have a huge roster too. I mean, they have lots of wrestlers, and there's people that kind of disappear, don't show up on screen for a month or so. But, that's going to happen. And if you have harder hitting matches, you kind of need to do that. You need to give a little time, because if you're going to go at it with a PLE level match on TV, okay, well, it's a different ball game. Then you can't just have that person come back out there and have another match in 2 days. They're just not going to be ready for it.
That's right, because the PLEs are the big dogs shows, and that's where they're really going to be driving their most energy toward is to perform well there because that sort of cements their contract deal with the organization for the following year. So it's kind of like the it's kind of like the playoffs, you might say, of wrestling,
Yeah.
just
Absolutely.
like in football.
Yeah. No,
And that's why you don't see guys from PLE to PLE sometimes because they get hurt doing it.
mm-hmm. Yeah, we're absolutely heading in towards the regular season of pro wrestling because WrestleMania, not just for the WWE, but really for the whole industry, is that touch point that resets the whole year and it's go time. There's going to be something like
Yes, sir.
21 different wrestling shows in Las Vegas the week of WrestleMania. There's going to be the WrestleCon convention. I was just talking with the David Difference from Future Stars of Wrestling. They're hosting
Oh,
something like 12 shows at their arena in Las Vegas. So it's going to be a big, big event. And it just keeps getting bigger. And that's really where everybody points to. And then it kicks off from there. And AEW has their events they build up to. They're building up to Revolution coming up March 9th. So you're seeing that build, and it's definitely the regular season now. I don't think it's coincidental that the regular season of pro wrestling happens to coincide with the off season of the NFL
no.
because the NFL is the 6,000 pound elephant in the room, so you kind of want to avoid them. But now it's full on go time because you're on the road to WrestleMania and AEW is building up to Revolution. They're starting it with Grand Slam in Australia. That happens this Saturday. It's after NBA All-Star Weekend on TBS and on Max. And it's going to be a big event because you're seeing pay-per-view level matches on Grand Slam, which Grand Slam's always been basically an enhanced Dynamite and Collision. And that's what they're doing. I was at All In Wembley when they announced the Australian event, and I
You
think
were.
it's going to be something they're going to do every year because Australia is really one of their top TV markets. You got the US, the UK, Australia, and with WWE moving to Netflix, the opportunities there for AEW to get some great TV exposure in all those other countries. And I think they're kicking it off with a big show featuring a lot of the Australian competitors on the roster, including right behind me, I have the TBS Championship, which has really become the rivalry of this event that's got the fans' attention. Harley Cameron getting ready to see if Mercedes can feel the wrath of Harley and see what the CEO can do. I like the ventriloquism. I like the puppet, the songs, and I think it's been a great story that they've built up with Harley Cameron kind of coming out of nowhere, going up against the elite of the all elite women's roster, Mercedes Moné. What do you think what do you think of the job they've done in building up this story?
I think it's great. They've given it sufficient airtime, I think. And that's something you don't have on independent shows because you don't have a lot of TV taping on independent shows. They are
No.
considered the dark shows of wrestling, where you go in and perfect your talent and hope and craft and hope to get picked up by a league. But nowadays, you have so many groups coming together, as we've said before, that they could almost do it on TV as good as they can on independent shows. So the industry's changing. And I think they've given that story a good push. And I think Tony Storm gave herself a good push in the AEW last night. Was tickled to see her there. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. And she's done a great job too. And so what you have with these two stories, with the two women's stories, which I think are the most anticipated matches of Grand Slam, Mercedes Moné against Harley Cameron and Mariah May against Timeless Tony Storm, they're
that's
taking
going to be a fight.
precedent versus John Moxley and Claudio going up against Adam Copeland, Edge, the rated R superstar, and Switchblade Jay White. And Okada against Buddy, and then the other match, the big match that I thought was going to be the main event, but now I'm pretty sure it's going to be Mariah May against Toni Storm. This is a credit to AEW's women's roster. The
Yes,
top
sir.
two matches
Absolutely.
people are talking about are the women's matches, and we haven't even talked about Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay going up against Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher, another Australian. I mean, these are packed matches. That would be a pay-per-view level, big-time event, and it's not getting the attention because of the job that Harley Cameron's done. She's done an amazing job.
They really have, and I'm impressed. I've always been a fan of the lady wrestlers, the women of wrestling, and to see them now be elevated to, you might say, above the men, I think that's fantastic that they are getting this kind of push. Not every female wrestler wants to wear a two-piece wrestling get up. I get that, and I don't think they should have to.
Yeah.
But the way they present them sometimes is a little irritating to me because of their amazing talent that they have. How they come out dressed a little bit, but anyway, that's what the promoters want, and that's what the women have done for years and years, has risen to the occasion of pleasing not only the promoter but the fans alike. And I think it's the era of women's wrestling right now. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, let's get to your bump of the week. I know who mine is.
My bump of the week. Let's see. I'll get to it here in 1 second. So I had a couple of runners up this week. I had Logan Paul and Rey Mysterio of the WWE. I had AEW's Ethan Page, who took a bump from the second rope onto the steel chair after Page had won his heavyweight title match. But my bump of the week goes to our very own AEW's Will Ospreay, who took a swan dive from way up high off of the stands onto the family, knocking down all of the family onto the floor. That was just unbelievably impressive from about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's crazy. I'm going to go with Austin Gunn because, my God, it looks like he got decapitated by the Hurt Syndicate last night. He got back in there and finished the match. So let's go to our champions of the week as we're winding it down here on Wrestling Spotlight. Here we go.
Oh, okay.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Taya Valkyrie La Güera Loca, and you are watching Wrestling Spotlight.
Got the big belt here. So, Sonny, who's your champion of the week as we come to the end of a
So my champion of the week had a runner-up too. Io Sky versus Liv Morgan in the WWE. I thought she did a phenomenal job. But my champion of the week is a wrestler that I currently think will be a WWE Women's Wrestling Star in the future. AEW's very own Megan Bonet.
Megan Bain.
I just think, pardon me, I just think she's got it all. I looked her up. She's from Ohio State Valley Wrestling. She's 26 years old. You could tell she goes to the gym. And again, like Bailey, she's very happy to be there. And I think that makes a big difference. So,
yeah, she's going with the Wonder Woman theme, kind of Themyscira, the Amazon. But yeah, Megan Bain, very impressive. I'm going to stick with the AEW women. I'm going with Harley Cameron because I don't think anyone thought a year ago or 2 years ago when she was on QTV that Harley Cameron would be main eventing, but here she is. So Mercedes Moné is going to have to feel the wrath. And with that, we'll wrap it up here for Wrestling Spotlight Weekly Champions. We'll be back. We'll break it down, and we're going to have some time to build up to Elimination Chamber. Sonny, where can people touch base with you throughout the week just to keep in touch?
Throughout the week to keep in touch with me, people can touch base with me on Sonny Cain, at Real Sonny Cain on X. On Instagram, Sonny Cain at Sonny the Man Eagle Cain, and on Facebook, Sonny Cain, Sonny the Man Eagle Cain.
Awesome. And by all means, stay tuned to Wrestling Spotlight this week. You can see the guy who's making all the news, Absolute Ricky Starks, in action from his match at Glory Pro last year. That card is being featured this week on Wrestling Spotlight. So stay tuned, because Glory Pro, an important part of the channel, and the stars go through Glory Pro. Ethan Page from Glory Pro to NXT, the Motor City Machine Guns, Glory Pro to the WWE, and Absolute Ricky Starks, Glory Pro to NXT. So by all means, stay tuned and watch the action in the ring. And you can still catch my interview with WWE Hall of Famer Titus O'Neil. And coming up, we're talking to Blair Onyx, the Spider-Woman from Glory Pro and Chicago Style Wrestling. Sonny, we'll see you back here in the ring, and everybody else, stay tuned to Wrestling Spotlight. Thanks.